Hey y'all, and welcome to Kitchen Notes from Nancy. If you're new here, I'd like to welcome you to our neighborhood, and I hope that you decide to subscribe before you leave today. And if you're already a part of our neighborhood, I'd like to greet you with the customary, hey neighbor. Now, today, and it is the same day that I cooked the stewed chicken, and if you haven't seen that, what are you waiting on? Pause this video, go watch the stewed chicken, and come back, okay? Now, but if you have saw that, today I have a dish that is the epitome of Southern cuisine. It doesn't get any more Southern than fried green tomatoes, okay? So if you want to see how I cook up some of the most delicious fried green tomatoes that you'll ever taste, stay tuned. Let's go. Alright, so before we get started, we're going to quickly go over the ingredients, and the ingredients for this are super simple. You are going to need green tomatoes. No, you cannot use red tomatoes. They're going to be mushy. If you have a green tomato that has started to look like this one, don't use it. It's getting too soft. So, we have our 2 green tomatoes. We have 1 egg with a little splash of milk. Now, true Southerners are gonna tell you to use buttermilk. I'm a true Southerner, but I don't have any buttermilk, and we're under a stay-at-home order. So, tonight I'm using regular whole milk. Now, if I really wanted to be creative, I could put a splash of vinegar in there and wait, but it's not that serious. These are still gonna be great. You need a little bit of flour. You need some cornmeal, and then for my seasonings, I'm just using black pepper, salt, and a little cayenne pepper. Now, some people like to use hot sauce, but guess what hot sauce is made from? Cayenne peppers and sometimes Tabasco peppers. So, the cayenne pepper is gonna give me that little bit of heat that I'm looking for. So, let me clear this out real quick, and then we're gonna start cutting up our tomatoes. Alright, so here are my tomatoes. Now, you're gonna start by putting it on its side, and then you're going to cut just that little back end of the tomato off. So you're going to cut this little back end if it ever focuses off. Now, for good fried tomatoes, you don't want them too thin, you don't want them too thick. The perfect thickness is about a ½ inch. It's about a ½ inch. So, and you want to try to make them all about the same width. So you want to try to get them all as close to the size as you can. You know, it's not going to be perfect. It's Southern cooking. It doesn't have to be perfect to be delicious. But you want to try to get them as close to uniform as you can. And see, I kind of messed that one up right there, but it's going to be fine. We're going to make it work. And then I'm going to get one more out of this little piece right here. Alright. So I went kind of crooked on one. Now, I'm only going to cook 1 tomato tonight because my husband does not eat tomatoes. So 1 is usually enough for me. This is going to make about 6. So we're going to put them right here. And so usually I use a rack. But tonight I'm going to be a little lazy and just put the paper towel on here. It'll still do the trick. Alright, so here are my green tomatoes. Now, you want to go ahead and salt them. Of course, I'm using pink Himalayan salt, but you can use whatever. And you want to be super generous, right? And this salt is going to help draw that water out. That's why they're sitting here on that paper towel. For a really good fried green tomatoes, you want to make sure that you take the majority of the water out so that they don't get soggy. You know, and that's why you can't use red tomatoes for this. Alright, so I put that black pepper on there. And I told y'all I'm going to go in with the little cayenne. But instead of putting the cayenne directly on the on the tomato, I'm actually going to sprinkle the cayenne in my cornmeal. Because the cornmeal is the last breading that goes on it. So I'm gonna put the cayenne pepper in my cornmeal. And here, I'm just gonna flip it over. And we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. It's just something about cutting into a green tomato. It smells so good. When I was growing up, we used to have a little garden in the backyard. My mama had a garden and my granddaddy had a garden too. And so when I would go down to my grandmama and granddaddy's, I would kind of go out there in the garden with granddaddy. And then the summer garden was kind of like me and my mama's project. So I used to eat a lot of fried green tomatoes during the summertime once the tomatoes decided to make. And we grew tomatoes, squash, banana peppers. We grew a little bit of corn, collard greens, turnip greens. And there is nothing better. Like, these fried greens or tomatoes are good, y'all. But there is nothing better than going out in your own backyard and picking one and then cooking it. That is just absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna stop rambling. We're gonna let these sit for 15 minutes and then we'll be back. All right, so that's been about 10 to 12 minutes or so. And if you look at this paper towel and, you know, look at the clip before, that's how much water was drawn out of these tomatoes. So that's what you don't want in your oil. And while the tomatoes were sitting here, I went ahead and put my oil on in my cast iron skillet so it can start heating up, because for this, you want extremely hot oil, but you don't want it to burn. So now, I'm gonna take my egg and milk, and I'm going to mix it up real good. Sorry for the noise, but you gotta get it scrambled, so oh well. Alright. Okay. So, we're gonna transition here real quick, and I'm gonna get my station set up. Alright, so now I have my station set up. I have my flour, I got my egg, and then I have my cornmeal with my cayenne pepper in it, and I'm gonna just give that a good mix. Now, I'm just gonna use my fork to try to keep my hand. You know what? We're not gonna even worry about the hand. We just gonna make it do what it do. So you take the tomato. I just drop it down off in here lightly because I don't like all that flour on my tomato. I don't like it because sometimes I feel like if you put too much flour on there, the doughing is just bready. It gets real bready, and I like the tomato, not bread. So then you dip it in the egg, and then you drop it in the cornmeal. And I'm gonna shake mine up in the cornmeal. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple in here, and then we're gonna shake it up and go over to our oil. But I'm gonna zoom in so you can see real close how I do it. First, you take your tomato, and I just drop it lightly in the flour. I just put a little bit of flour on it, and you shake off all the excess. Anything that'll fall off, you shake that off. And then And then you move over to the egg mixture. And I just drop it. Give it a flip. Make sure it gets coated real good. Let that drain off. And now I just toss it in the cornmeal. So I'm gonna do 4 more, and then we're gonna move over to the grease. Okay, so now that I have my 4 tomatoes in here, I'm gonna take my top, and you can do this in a Ziploc bag if you want to, or however you want to. I'm just gonna use the container and give them a good shake. You want that cornmeal all over them. You want that cornmeal all over them. Alright. So let's take the top off. Alright, and now you got your tomatoes, and they're covered with your cornmeal. Now I'm gonna rinse my hand off because I have that clumpy, I'm gonna rinse my hand off to get the flour off, and then we're gonna move to the grease. So my oil has been heating up and it's good and hot, but let me show you how you can check and test your oil if you don't know. Get your little pinch of flour and throw it down off in there. You see how that oil started, how that flour started to fry as soon as it hit that grease? That's how you know that your grease is ready. And that's for frying chicken, fish, anything. You gotta make sure that that oil is ready to go, because you don't want it to just suck up. You don't want whatever you're cooking to suck that oil up. So now I'm just gonna start putting my tomatoes in. Shake them off. Shake that excess off. And see how as soon as that tomato hit that grease, it started frying. That's what you want. That's what you want. And it doesn't take, oh, I got real country in, y'all. I'm sorry. It doesn't take long for these to cook. Doesn't take long at all. Matter of fact, you just cook them about a good 2 minutes on each side. That's usually about what I do, 2-3 minutes on each side. If that grease is good and hot, you'll be good to go. And you don't want to crowd the pan with your tomatoes. That's why I could have put those other 2 little pieces in here. But honestly, it's fast enough cooking them that I don't have to put those other pieces in. I mean, it's fast enough cooking them that there's no need for me to force the other 2 to fit. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip. Look at that golden brown crust. And since this doesn't take long, I'm gonna go ahead and get me a plate. Now you can put them on a cooling rack if you want to be fancy. But in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the quickest way to get these bad boys out of here is to get me a plate, line it with some paper towels, and let it drain like that. So that's what we're doing tonight, y'all. Like this is just good Southern cooking. There's no need to be pretentious about it. You know, it's just some good eating. So I'm gonna let those float around in there a little bit. And I like to flip mine over one more time, because I don't like for them to get dark, but I want them to cook all the way through. And that's why I say total. And this is one of them things where your stove, it's gonna get a little greasy, but you know, I got a splash guard and all that, but it's not, we just gonna wipe it up and keep moving. There are few sounds in the world that are better than the sound of something frying. And I forgot to tell you, today I'm using canola oil, but I mean, I use vegetable oil too. You can use peanut oil. It doesn't matter, whichever one you want to use, vegetable, canola, peanut. The smoke point on peanut oil is a little bit higher, I believe. But, you know, they all get the job done. And while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and get these other two little pieces prepared to go in. Alright, and these bad boys are ready to come out. So I'm just going to use my fork. You can use tongs if you want to. I got my fork. And I'm just going to put it on that paper towel. Yeah, buddy. Y'all, these are so pretty. And I'm not just saying that because I cooked them. They are pretty. Right, I'm gonna let those cool down and throw these other little two pieces in there, and then I'm gonna let you see the final product. And if you made it this far, I'd like to thank you so much for sticking with me. As always, thank you so much for your continued support. If you liked what you saw here, please consider subscribing, and also give me a big thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything, but it lets me know that you like this type of content and I can keep pushing it out for you. So until next time,